Hey guys, Big Rat 3 Titans here again. Just a video on kind of my Against the Odds thoughts. I'm not going to review the show because no one wants to see that. I'm going to talk about other things, but mainly I thought the pay-per-view was okay. You know, I don't think it was bad at all. I think it's TNA's worst pay-per-view since Victory Road. I didn't see Hard Justice, so yeah. But yeah, Victory Road. And, you know, I thought the pay-per-view had a lot of flaws, but, you know, I still thought, I'm not going to crap on it too much. I just enjoyed watching the show. And I'll try to reason why I enjoy watching TNA pay-per-views so much. And, you know, it's nothing to have to do with, I thought it was like the flow, the ring. There's nothing to do with that. The answer is really straightforward. They have the best roster in the world. They have the best roster. The booking, certain other factors, politics. There's so many things that just prevents them from putting on great pay-per-views. Even though they did them from October through December, in my opinion. Yeah, but I thought that this pay-per-view was decent. 6.75 out of 10. I liked the Joe AJ match. I thought the ending was horrific. Absolutely horrific. Took way too long, way too awkward, but they did have multiple stories going into the match. They had the Bischoff thing, which Bischoff, apparently, I just found out that Bischoff was heel. I did not know this. I thought he suddenly turned face on Impact because TNA does that bullshit all the time. So, I actually thought that the Abyss Foley story was good with the fans because Bischoff set the fans up to be animals who wanted them to see blood. You know, but instead, you know, Bischoff was the heel and the fans were supposed to be sympathetic and they were animals anyways. As Chase, with all caps, pointed out to me. But there were more. No, I'm not getting into that. So yeah, I will admit that was my fault, but I could have sworn that Bischoff was face or tweener. I would never have said heel. And it really made very little sense with the match. But Joe, AJ worked over Joe's leg. Obviously, the Joe temper played a little bit of a factor. The Bischoff Flair thing, you know, I thought there were many stories going into the match, and they were very athletic. They definitely had the best match of the night, but the ending was just so horrific, so long, so awkward that it prevented me from enjoying that match at all. Tournament. Okay, that's why this video is going to be called, the main part is going to be called Bracketology as Psychology. Me, personally, I've always loved the second round of tournaments, or not the second round, I should say, the semifinals. I think those are always the best part of tournaments for the most part. I mean, there are a few exceptions. Obviously, the Intercontinental Championship tournament from last year, Punk and Ray obviously had the best match. But there have been, for me, for the majority of it, the finals never really are as good as the second round. I'll give you a few examples off the top of my head. Sacrifice 2008, that horrible tournament that we all hated. I thought the second round was the best part of that tournament. I thought Team 3D, Christian and Cage and Rhino told a pretty good story. It was a pretty fun match. I thought AJ and Super Eric vs. LAX was the best match on the entire tournament, even though the ending was kind of weak and AJ was off and AJ was hurt. But still, I thought they put on a pretty good match. I liked it more than the finals of LAX Team 3D. King of the Ring 2002, Jericho RVD put on an amazing match, the best match of that tournament easily, and I thought their match, and even Test and Lesnar's match was better than Lesnar's match with RVD, even though that match was more to show off the dominance of Brock Lesnar. Super X Cup Tournament 2003, the semifinals on that tournament are amazing, not amazing, they're very good, I'll say they're great. Great to amazing. Jack Evans versus Juventud Guerrero was so much fun. Kazarian versus Chris Sabin. And I thought the finals, I'm not going to say who it was because I don't want to ruin it because I think you should see the show. It's on the Ultimate X Collection DVD from TNA, which is very rare, but if you do find it, it's worth it. And I thought the finals was nowhere near as good as the two semifinal matches. I think the second round matches they have to be very good because they have to build a lot of steam going into the main event. They have to have a lot of momentum, making the main event seem important, making the whole finals, the whole ending of all this tournament mean something. The second round of this tournament I thought was just horrible, to be honest. I mean, I thought the matches were decent. I thought Morgan and Dinero told a pretty good story. You know, Dinero's, all of his matches worked with the Against All Odds team, you know, him working against the big, giant monster, and Morgan, who actually wrestled like a big man, as Josh would say, or as Josh would want, I should say. Obviously, the Kennedy thing, and the Anderson thing with the band attacking him, and I kind of saw it in the first match. You know, he's fighting the guy that beat him at the last pay-per-view. He literally was against all odds to win the number one contendership, and I really like that. Yeah, I've always think the second round of tournament, the semifinals usually should be the best because they get a lot more time. They should get a lot more time than the first round, and they get just as much time as the finals, but maybe the finals get like an extra 2 minutes, something like that. Most tournaments are like that. And I thought for this one, the the second round was the worst part of the tournament. I thought that the matches that Pope and Dinero had and the match that Angle and Anderson had would have worked perfectly for the second round. Not that I'm saying that they should have switched up the order and those should have been the second round matches, but those are the type of matches you should see in the second round. Nigel, the opener, I thought was the second best match on the show. Anderson Angle, I thought was the third best match on the show. So yeah, I thought that would have worked if they had if something had the quality switch places between that and the semis. The tournament would have come off a lot better in my opinion, and it would have been a much more enjoyable show. Obviously, a lot of factors hurt the show. The Morgan heel thing, no one expected, but it didn't really bother me too much. TNA does this crap all the time. Actually, I'm not gonna do. I remember Brian Alvarez was with Vinny, and he says, "You know what? I'm not gonna give them a pass because they're TNA." So I guess I'm not gonna give them a pass because TNA does this shit all the time. I've not read the spoilers. I've not read the impacts going into this, so this thoughts might not be as good. This is more of bracketology psychology for me on the second round of tournaments. Yeah, I thought the pay-per-view could have been better, though. You know, the Morgan heel thing was kind of dumb. I already talked about the Abyss match. The Pope thing did take a long time. That's what I want to get to now. Wasted time. That's what I'm saying. The second round matches needed to be that short because they didn't have enough time on the pay-per-view. I call bullshit. From the time that Kennedy Pope actually wrestled to the end of the AJ Joe match, there was a good 15 minutes. 10 minutes, I should say. They recapped the entire tournament. Literally, even the matches that had nothing to do with it, like Morgan Hernandez and Abyss Foley. They recapped those matches too. That's kind of pointless. Why'd you have to recap the entire tournament anyways? You most likely are going to do it at the end of the show. Or wherever the end of the finals. So that was a bunch of wasted time. A bunch of backstage segments that kind of went a little too far and I didn't think were necessary. But no, I still thought that with all this time, they could have given it to the semis, and they could have had better matches. I mean, obviously, Kennedy Abyss not going to be that great. I thought Morgan and Dinero were going really well, and the ending came out of nowhere. So that kind of upset me. I thought this paper came really well. Okay, I never usually accuse TNA of copying WWE. Oh, they do. I'm not mad. They do it a lot, but they haven't done it recently. But Pope is giving fans his glasses. Can someone please tell me that's not an allusion to A, John Morrison, because apparently John Morrison is doing it now, which I did not know until a few hours ago. Or B, could it be an allusion to the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Bret Hart? Seriously, TNA giving the glasses to the fans. Okay, maybe you didn't know that Morrison did it, even though you probably did, and the glasses look very, very similar. But you knew that Bret Hart's in the WWE. That's it. That was his trademark. No, there's no pun in there. What am I saying? He would do that all the time in the 90s, so now Pope's doing it. I know you want to get him over, but still, I thought it's a little too coincidental that because Bret Hart's in the WWE and Morrison started doing it, then now all of a sudden Pope is doing it. So yeah, I thought the pay-per-view was, it was okay. I didn't hate it. I gave it a 6.75 out of 10. I thought it was decent. You know, fun to watch. You know, you won't hate it. Okay, so WWE pay-per-views. I like what Josh said that no one else mentioned, that we're actually losing a pay-per-view, which is a good thing. We went from 14 to 13 pay-per-views now, I believe, which, in my opinion, we should get rid of the bragging rights pay-per-view. It's kind of pointless. We don't want it. No one likes it. It's one of your least spot pay-per-views of the year. It got a higher buy rate than Cyber Sunday, but still, it still didn't get a good buy rate in and of itself. Axe it. That's also why they axed Backlash and the Bash, for those who are wondering. I don't know why they axed Judgment Day. Judgment Day wasn't, but I remember Backlash got 185,000. So what does WWE does? Stick a gimmick on there. The Bash got 162,000. What did they do? Stick a gimmick on there. Breaking Point got 100, and that was their least spot pay-per-view that year. Scrapped. Night of Champions moved. What we do that month? Stick a gimmick in there. I'm not gonna bash the Money in the Bank pay-per-view yet. I want to know A, whether the one for this year staying. We still don't know. It's not confirmed yet. We have to see Raw next week, I believe, or Elimination Chamber this Sunday. It might be. Actually, yeah, I think it is. Oh, good. So look, if it is, you know, I kind of disagree with Josh. I think that if a mid-carder were to win it in a qualifying match on a pay-per-view, and then in the ladder match, and against main eventers most likely, because I doubt, not all main eventers, but I doubt that WWE would have straight mid-carders main event a pay-per-view. So if they were to do that, like maybe against Jericho, I could see being in there, or Edge, or people like that in the ladder match, and a few mid-carders, and maybe, I don't know, HBK, I don't know, I'm saying, like, if you were to win it in, like, that type of situation, in a main event of a show, when it was hyped the whole night, hyped for a few weeks, I think that would come off better than doing it in the opening match at WrestleMania. That's just my opinion. I mean, I know he made a good point. About 1 million people watch WrestleMania. Probably around 300,000, 250,000 are going to watch the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But out of those million, how many of them really latch on to the product and stay on to the product even, okay, good, they get noticed in the next WrestleMania, they're in the main event. Oh, I remember that guy. I think the Money in the Bank would get them more over with the fans who consistently watch the product. Matt Hardy has his own YouTube page. He's very good. He makes great videos. I sub to him. Check him out. Matt Hardy makes his own YouTube videos, which I like. It's really cool. Sub to him. Smart Mark Video. They never, ever, ever have sales. They sell Chikara DVDs, CCW, AAW, AIW, and a bunch of other promotions I've never heard of. PWG on VHS, for those of you who want to collect PWG on VHS. They're having a sale. The sale isn't very good. Place an order over $60 and you get 25% off. But it's still a sale, and they never have sales. Anniversario Yang, King of Trios Night 2, and 3 Fists of Tails, and a Touch of Class from Chikara. I'm Mick. I'm out.